What's going on, guys? It's Uncle Dallas. I'm here live and in color the last couple of days before the retreat. I am so excited. Today we're going to stay on the subject of, are you ready to be free? Are you ready to be free? Are you ready to be free? We're going to stay on that subject, and hopefully it'll give you some things to kind of think about. But the subject is, are you ready to be free? Says we're offline. Why are we offline? Why are we offline, guys? We're offline, it says. There we go. We're back now. It took a minute. So now, are you ready to be free? That is today's topic. If you are ready, I am ready to be there. All right, I'm Uncle Dallas again. See you in a minute. Okay, so are you ready to be free? Today is the last couple of days. We're getting ready to go into the conference. I'm very excited. My wife is very excited. Everybody's very excited to be here. We're going to do some amazing things. You're going to have some amazing time, and some wonderful things are going to be happening. The key becomes, as you get here, I want to know, is there a level that you need to deal with? Let's get this out of the way. The level of being free. Free is a general term that we use because we are less being bound. We're not bound. But today I want to talk about the next level of freedom. We talked about whom the Son sets free is free indeed. I'm going to talk about a level of freedom, and I need to grab my passages, my Bible for this one. Where's my Bible? Oh, there it is back here. John the 11th chapter, and this one is probably more metaphoric than anything else. But John the 11th chapter, and it's about the story of Lazarus, and apparently Lazarus was the friend of God and all these wonderful things. And so, in this particular thing, I want to talk about this one particular passage. So, get ready for that passage. Those of you that are on TikTok and Instagram, if you can get to YouTube, I would be greatly appreciative if you can get over there and we can talk about those things. So if you go to youtube.com higher talk, you can actually join us as we talk about this thing. So if you can get to that, go ahead and get there and join us there. So let me look at that. Yeah, so we're there. So if you're doing it now, those of you know the biblical story of Lazarus. Lazarus was the friend of somebody, and the friend of somebody else, the friend of somebody else. But anyway, I'm not talking about the friend. I'm not talking about the position that he stood in the mindset. I'm talking about the position that he stood in being bound. Now, the key to Lazarus is Lazarus was bound on three different levels. Now, and the interesting thing is the things that show where Lazarus was bound are the same things that were bound to us today. He was bound on three different levels. Now, I know you think it's this spirit, body, and soul, but he was bound on three different levels. So when you want to be free, you have to understand these levels. You have to understand being free. Now, he was free when he was alive, but some of us are alive and we're still not free. So he was talking to these things, and you go on down, and when you see what, there we go. When you go to the 11th chapter, just read through the 11th chapter and just go through it. And when you see this, you see Lazarus is dead. Lazarus, first of all, Lazarus was dying, number one. Then Lazarus was dead. Then number two, Lazarus came alive. Okay? So level 3 in Lazarus was the fact that he was dying. That meant that everything that Lazarus did, metaphorically speaking, was leading him toward death. So at that moment, Lazarus could turn. But Lazarus was being led toward death. Now, I need you to hear this, number one. Number one, where is your path going? If you want to be free, you have to identify where your path is going. I'm not going to stay long today, guys. I got a lot to do for the conference, so I'm going to make this really quick. So take good notes. Where is your path going? Where are you leading to? First level that Lazarus was bound in is in the fact that he was sick, and that sick was going to take him to this next level. So first thing, he was sick. He was sick. Now, what does that mean? That means he was in, I like this, I heard somebody say, he had a dis-ease. His ease was broken. He had a dis-ease. He had a disease. So he had something that was broken. Now, in the fact that he was going towards sickness, and sickness was leading toward death, that was the first level of binding. That was the first level where he was controlled. He was not free. I want you to understand this, and I said this the other day. I want you to understand that everything that you're dealing with right now when it comes to being free will address the areas of sickness. It will address the areas where you are not at ease. You'll address the areas where you're not lined up in the spirit. It will address all those areas. Stay out of relationships that don't give you the potential of freedom. Don't stay out of situations that don't give you the potential of freedom. Stay out of situations that bind your emotions. Stay out of situations that cause you stress. All those situations should be cast over to God. Those should be spiritual battles. So if Lazarus is in this position right now, and Lazarus is battling at this position, the key to what was going on in Lazarus' life was he was bound and connected to death. He was bound and connected to death. Some of you right now are being bound and connected to death. Thank God for grace. Thank God for mercy. Or a lot of us would still be following the path. So what's the first thing? The first level of change that Lazarus had to make was he had to change his course. If Lazarus was sick, and let's say he's sick to the point that he's moving around, but he's sick. If Lazarus was changing the course, he had to start changing his habits, because his course was leading him to death. His course. Now, I don't know the advanced nature of what he was dealing with. I don't know if he dealt with palsy. I don't know if he dealt with a form of cancer. I don't know what he dealt with. But what he had to do was change his course, because his first level of binding, his first level of lack of freedom was in his path. His path was set by his sickness. His path was set by the people talking around him. His path was set by the people that believed and didn't believe. His path was set, so he had to change his path by changing his pattern. He had to change his path. You have to change your path. You have to make major changes, because if you don't make major changes, you'll find yourself resorting back to the old person. Resorting back to the old thing. You have to take control of this being. Because the first level was Lazarus was sick. That was the first level of death. I mean, the first level when he was bound, he was sick. Now, hear me. There is no level that you're going to deal with. There's no level that you're going to handle or have to handle that is not help that God can't fix. There is no level that God can't handle. I mean, there's no level in your thing God can't fix. The Bible says, is there anything too hard for God? Here's the key. It's not hard for God, but what becomes difficult is allowing God to have rule and have direction in your life. Matthew, seek the path of God. Matter of fact, there's a passage, I think it's in Psalms 103. I think it's in Psalms 103 before you write it down. So now Lazarus was bound on that first level. Ask yourself this. Psalms 103 and 3 says this: who forgives all their iniquities, who heals all their diseases. Who forgives their iniquity and heals their diseases. Because I want to hear something. I want you to share something. A lot of the things you're dealing with are in direct connection to where you're going. Now, if you hung out with me, you're probably at a point going, okay, God, now let's make this make sense. Okay, so let's make this make sense. You are a product of your process. Okay? You are a product of your process. Every day, your process is either validates your path or disvalidates your path. You are a product of your process. So here's what happens. All things work together for the good to them that love God, to the called according to his purpose. So right now, you're in a process because you're the product of this process. So what that means to you is, if you want to change the process, if you want to change the product, change the process. Okay, let's say you make Kool-Aid. You have Kool-Aid. I know we're in the millennial. We don't really do Kool-Aid, but anyway, you have powdered Kool-Aid, you have sugar, and you have water, and you use those all the time. It will always produce Kool-Aid. Now, the level of water may determine the level of sweetness. The level of sugar would determine the level of sweetness. The level of Kool-Aid would determine the level of color. But these are the processes you use. This is the recipe for what product you want. So in order to change the product, you have to change the product, change the path, the pattern. So what you're basically doing is changing the recipe. See, a lot of us would complain because our recipe has been so ingrained into our being that we believe that that recipe is right. So you have to first realize that that recipe is not right because it's not producing what you want it to produce. Thank you, God. Now, follow me here. Follow me here. I want you to follow me. Right now, and I need you to understand this because I'm about to teach you a level of power that you're not going to be taught about. Right now, there is nothing in this world that is etched in stone. Okay? I'm going to say this right now. If you are going to do something, and let's say you're buying a house, and they tell you that the house, they come to you and say, listen, on this contract, this house is $150,000. I need you to hear me. This house is $150,000. So what you say to them is okay. What you have just done is agreed with the spirit, the writing, and everything about this $150,000 house. Now, this is hypothetical. I'm not saying that you did. But you have to understand that I don't care what they write on the paper. I don't care what they say. I don't care how it's said. I don't care what they do. It is never settled until God says it's settled. So your pattern of agreeing with what you see, agreeing with what people tell you, agreeing with what you don't want, puts you in a position where it produces what you don't want. So right now, there's an amount of money that we have to put out. But I'm not going to put out anything but 9,000 of that. So what I'm saying is, do not allow what looks obvious and what looks logical to become your reality. Do not allow what looks logical and do not allow it to become your reality. Because if you do, then you're stuck in the Lazarus part where he says he's moving toward death. So you are questioning in the spirit everything. Why? Because if you give God the freedom, he will change the 150 to 50,000. He'll change it to 100,000. He will make whatever necessary shifts need to be made in order to get you from being bound to the product of that past. I need you to hear me. Here's the key. You can't tell God how to do it. You can tell God the result. So you have to create the environment for God to move. So you come up with the hypothesis. And what God will do is create the result for the equation that you have desired. So X equals Y equals $100,000. So you have your X and you have your Y and it equals $100,000. So what you have to realize is you are not bound by logic and reality that is given to you by man. You are not bound by logic and reality. Now, some of us, because we have been so ingrained in it, we believe that that's reality. So what we have to do is to break that reality and break it in such a way that it no longer has the ability to produce the path nor the destination that we're already on. I mean, something as crazy as right now, my hair here doesn't grow. That means that in my mind, I said, well, I'm just going bald, or, well, I just have this. Well, I begin to make excuses for a reality that is leading me toward being bound. I hope you hear me. The key becomes when you stop worrying about the reality that they gave you to scare you into control, then you begin to say, I don't care what they do, I'm going to end up here. I don't care what they say, I'm going to end up here. And to the point that the reality that they've given you, the thing that has bound you, you are now free from. We're not free because we say, well, I'm big, I guess I'm going to have cancer. Well, I'm big, I guess I'm going to have diabetes. Instead of going, there is no disease that has the power to invade the temple of God. Anything that touches the Ark of the Covenant dies. So something that tries to touch you, it dies. Don't get settled on it. Don't stop at it. You do not let anything bind you of a reality that God did not give you. Well, I didn't make it through. You cannot bind God in how to do it. You have to understand He's working for the results. There are some of you that thought you were coming to the retreat, but God goes, no, I have a different result for you that'll make you never have to worry about a retreat price again. There are some of you, but you have to realize, there are some of you that have a path that you want, but God goes, no, if you want the blessings to make you rich and add no sorrow, you have to give me the freedom to do this the way I want to do it. Because when I do it, it's going to always be right. It may not feel right to you because you don't see the destination. So some of you are bound at number one. That's the path unto death. It's the path unto death. So I cannot settle on what they tell me, because unless you're speaking from the Spirit, I can't hear you. Unless you're speaking from the Spirit, I don't know what you're talking about. See, we got to get past, we think somebody because they have a doctor's degree, or somebody because they have 1 million people in their church, or somebody tells you a pattern to do stuff in the world, that your reality is determined by that person. That's advice, and I appreciate the advice. That's information. I appreciate the information. But baby, I need you to hear me. I don't listen to nobody but the Spirit. When people say don't do it this way, oh, I'm sorry. The Spirit told me to do it this way. When people say it doesn't look like that, I'm sorry. I can't see it in the natural. I got to see it in the Spirit. Stop taking the path that people are making you take. So the first level of binding, the first level that Lazarus had to be free was the path that led him to death. Lazarus didn't deal with that. So Lazarus went on to death. Now, the second part was being bound, being free. Y'all don't like this. Being free from death of the situation. Being free from the death of the situation. In that time, when someone died, they wrapped them in cloth. And this cloth had an enzyme on it that would keep it closed and preserve the body. So he was wrapped in death, and he would, I don't get it. You are wrapped and preserved at the same time. Some of you are bound in area 2. Bound in area 2 means I already have diabetes. They've already done whatever they said they were going to do. I already have cancer. I already have baldness. I'm already without money. I'm already in the place where I need a house. I'm already at the place. I'm dead right now. I can't go any further. My credit is already messed up. I'm dead and I cannot move any further. Some of you are sitting there at that point and saying, I'm already dead. Freedom number 2. There is nothing that God cannot fix. You are in the level where you go, now I have no choice but to let God do it. I have no choice. Well, my rent's due. I have no choice. See, when you take yourself off a reputation and start going, God, you fix this and you make this work out for me. So now you are bound. You are wrapped. You are tied. You sing like you can't do anything. Rent is due, you only got $100. Rent is $1,000, you only got $100. You don't even know where another $100 is coming from. So you are dead. That situation is dead. It is separated from God. It is separated from the ability for it to happen. It is separated from reality of making it happen. Anybody else? in this situation, they're over. It's done. You know you're on your way out. Why? Because in your mind, it's over. But there is no end because God is there. You're at the point where God has to speak. You're at the point where he has to move. So here's what death is. Here, level 1 was you have a path. Level 2, you think you're in a destination. You think you're dead. Here is the interesting thing about level 2. The level 2 of this thing, God is so amazing. The level 2 of this thing takes someone telling you or something speaking into your life or something supernatural is to speak to that thing to get you to a point that you start to move. Oh my God. You have to start moving. See, when it's death, you have to start looking at the fact. Don't just lay there and die. Start to make some movement. Start to make some prayers. Start to do the 5 things I taught you. Start to look and start reading. Start studying. Start getting your mind back alive. Why? Because you go, wait a minute. They say you die when you get COVID, but I don't die because I don't get COVID in my spirit, and spirit is my life. They say that I'll never get, I don't let go because they say this is the end. You can't say it's the end. God has to say it's the end. Until God says it's the end, baby, it's not the end. Stop giving up because somebody said this is it. Well, that's out. No, well, that's it. Did God say this over? No. If God didn't say it's over, baby, it's not over. So while you are bound and it seems like you are tied down, it seems like you can't do anything, that's the moment where God is going, rest, I'm coming to get you. Rest, I'm coming to get you. But you have to know he's coming. Rest, he's coming to get you. Oh, no. You've made the path and you've come all the way to death now. It seems like the bill is due. The husband is acting as crazy. He can't fit. Adultery has happened. Infidelity. All these things have happened. And what you have done is you've already died. You've took it. You've killed it. You've sacrificed it. You've let it die. God goes, hold it. You can't let it die till I tell you it's died. It's not dead until I say it's dead. Even in this passage, they said, listen, Lazarus is sick. He's in stage 1 of being bound. And Christ said, he's not dead. He's just asleep. He's not dead. It's not, this death is not under sickness. This sickness is not under death. He was in stage 1. Christ said, no, that's just stage 1. Don't worry about it. That's just stage 1. And so when he gets to stage 2, the disciples said, CG, see what happened? Now he's dead. He said, he's just asleep. He said, I'm glad you weren't there. I'm glad they don't depend on you because he's just sleeping. He said, if he's just sleeping, let's go wake him up. Jesus go, hold on, let's go do that. Why? Because you have to know that where you are, any moment you can get woken up. Any moment it can change. Any moment. See, we are so arrogant in our teaching of Christianity and arrogant in the teaching of religion that we really think what tomorrow is going to hold is what we think it's going to hold. We think we know what's happening tomorrow. We don't know what's happening unless the Spirit of God tells us what's happening. So, sweetie, when it looks like it's the end, it can't end until God says it's going to end. It can't stop until God says it's going to stop. You're not dead. You're just asleep. Really deep sleep. The last time somebody went to sleep, he put Adam to sleep. When he put Adam to sleep, from Adam he pulled something and created something greater. So while you're in this position, you've got to understand that you are not done. It's not over. This is just a sleep moment. You got to go. Any moment he's going to wake me up. Any moment this situation is going to change. Any moment this circumstance is going to change. At any moment. Why? Because you're just bound in level 2. See, level 2 and level 1, you have to figure out how to do it. In level 2, you have to understand whom the Son sets free is free indeed. In level 2, a word has to be spoken to you. And it doesn't have to come directly from Christ. It has to be a word. You have to put the word in your mind. You've got to start reciting that thing. You got to start breaking the bounds of that thing. When you're bound so tight, when you're bound tight, you start trying to find out what part of your body can move. So you're bound tight and you start moving your legs. So wait a minute, my leg can move. Okay, I'm free. If I can move my leg, I'm good. Then you move your shoulder. What you're trying to do is loose the bands that are holding you so tight that when you begin to move, that you'll find yourself able to move more as each part. You move your hands. Say, wait a minute, my shoulder can move. Then my other arm can move. My hands can move. And you're loosening the bands. Because stage 1 is a mental place. Stage 2 is a physical place. Stage 1 is a mental place. Stage 2 is a physical place. In stage 2, you have to be careful because the stage 1 position may have made you depressed and made you down and made you give up with stage 2, because the purpose of the enemy is to steal, then kill, and eventually bring destruction. So he's trying to steal your mindset over here. Anybody that does that, if your mama's telling you you can't do it, your dad is telling you you can't do it, your cousin Pookie, Ray Ray, Nan, Shasha, Buki, all of them, if they're telling you you can't do it, then they are part of the enemy. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. Because the enemy is trying to steal the process. Steal, kill, and destroy. So it will try to steal who you are. This is why I tell you, stop trying to tell people what you heard from God. Stop trying to tell people what kind of faith you have. Stop trying to tell people what you think is right. Be quiet. Oh, I just feel like if I close my lips, I don't care what goes through my mind, nothing comes out. Why? Because it's trying to go. So now at this point, you have a double barrel. You got to get your mind together and you got to start moving. At this point of movement, it should be in direct relation to the destination. So if you are stuck and can't lose weight, you are bound. You feel like you got to eat food all the time. You feel like if I don't, you got to break that. So all of a sudden you do little things. First thing you do, say, maybe I'm going to eat 1 meal a day. That means I'm moving my arms now. I know what to do. I'm going to eat 1 meal a day and I'm going to eat and I'm going to walk. So now I'm moving both of my arms. See, what I'm doing is I'm loosening the bands, because some of us can't just simply break the band. Sometimes you got to move stuff around. So now I start walking. Now, you know what? I'm going to drink more water. That means now my leg is moving. And what happens is I may not break the bounds, but I stretch them enough that I can exist until stage 3 happens. I break this stuff enough that I can start seeing potential of the destination. I begin to move in those areas. See, you got to do little stuff so that it produce opportunities for big stuff. Yeah, I know. We're doing good. Then there's level 3. Level 3. Level 3 is a transition, because level 3 takes you to a number of different places. But I want you to see something here. Watch this. Pay attention. In 11 and verse 42, in 11 and verse 33, you look at stage 1. This is what a preacher hits. He hits the stone when the stone rolled away. Verse 39 says, I'm reading just read. Verse 39 says, take away the stone. Verse 40 says, and he said not unto thee, if thou wilt believe, thou shalt see the glory of God. That's 40. 41 says, Father, I thank thee that thou hearest me. 42 says, and I know that thou hearest me all the time, because the people that stand by, oh yeah, I hear thee all the time. So the people which stand by can see. Let me read this correctly. And I knew that thou hearest me always. But because of the people which stand by, I say this, that thou mayest believe that thou hast sent me. Level 4 of freedom is a testimony. He said, first of all, the first obstruction is moved out the way. He said, move the stone. I could preach that. He said, move the stone. The major thing that is happening in your life is binding you to that location and binding you to that destination. But this next thing is happening is going to become a testimony. It's going to become a testimony. The next thing that's happening is going to become a testimony. So you watch this and all the things. See, I want you to hear something. Now, here's where I want you to hear. Here's what's really deep about this. Here's what's really deep about this. Yeah. Here's what's really deep about this. Y'all ready? Here's what's really deep about this. Stage 3. Follow me here. Stage 3. I hope my writers are down there. Where are my writers? Where are my writers? Where are my writers? There we go. Leslie, check this out. Stage 3 considers stage 1, addresses stage 2, and answers with stage 3. Considers stage 1, addresses stage 2, and answers with stage 3. So here's what I need you to understand. At stage 3, not only are you inside moving, stretching the bands, God is causing heaven and earth to move on your behalf. What a lot of us don't know is God is getting other people in position to make sure when you're free indeed. So while you're bound up, somebody is moving the stone because God got it. While you're bound up, somebody is praying, whether you know it or not. Why? Because you're not by yourself. That's what the enemy wants you to think. You're by yourself. While you're doing that, somebody else is somewhere washing the feet. Somebody is preparing the house. There is something happening to work on your behalf to get you free. Whom the Son has set free. We know you're free. So what has happened is there are things that are going on that you can't see that are preparing you to be free. So now watch this, he's in the tomb. While he's in the tomb, he's in stage 2. He is dead. To them, they don't know where he is. They don't know where he's coming from. They just know he's dead. In their mind, you got one or two things that are happening. You got people that are going, well, let's create a funeral because he's dead. Or there are people that says, I'm going to create a feast. The reason I'm creating a feast is because he ain't dead yet. God ain't told me he dead. God hadn't said this is over. He didn't say that diabetes was the end. He didn't say that cancer was the end. He didn't say that this relationship was over. See, what happens to us, we get emotionally tied to something because if you were with me last night, you become attached to the identity that you think you have. So you go, he can't talk to me like that. She can't talk to me like that. Why? You've yet to say, God, I don't care who talks, but if you don't talk, we don't move. I don't care who else talks, but if you don't talk, we don't move. In stage 3, he shifts the atmosphere. In stage 3, he calls the sun, don't move till I finish. In stage 3, he causes money to come from places you didn't even understand. In stage 3, he says, I'm doing everything necessary to get you free. See, baby, you think you're trying to get free by yourself. But God is going, there's some dead areas in your life. There's some areas where you think it's over. There's some areas where you feel like you can't make it. But in stage 3, my love, in stage 3, my brother, everything is working for the good of them because you love God. Don't let your mind be overwhelmed. Don't let your situation be overwhelmed. One of the things I tell my wife, I said, you can't do everything. Why? God didn't call her to work in labor, but she has to understand there's peace. If she doesn't understand peace, then she won't get to understand the bounty of what God is doing. So we get to the point that we want to feel like I got to take care of the kids. I got to take care of the dog. I got to take care of the cat. When God goes, what am I for? Why am I here? Why am I here? Why? Because what you have done is you've now made yourself your own prison, your own fight, your own battle. But God said, I don't care what you did, baby, but there is help on the way. So somebody is moving the stone. Jesus didn't move the stone. Somebody is over there praying. Jesus is not praying. Somebody is making a meal. Jesus is not making a meal. All he's doing is saying, I'm about to set the last part of this free. In this last stage, it's not going to just be a word. It's going to be the word. It's not going to be a word. It's going to be the word. The word. So, said, take away the stone. And Jesus said, I know that hears me all the time. And I love the fact that this thing, I saw this, I was doing this Revelation. And Revelation says, in Corinthians, it says, death, where's thy sting? Death has been overcome. It was overcome by Lazarus. It was overcome by a number of people. And here's where it got good. Jesus stood in front of them according to the anointing. And he said this, loose him and set him free. Okay? Now, the first thing he said was, Lazarus, it's time to get out of here. Come on, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Some of you, God is calling you out of your situation, but you're so busy trying to get other stuff. I need my mama's stuff. I need my cousin. I need my auntie. I need all this stuff. I need to take this with me. I need to take this with me. And God goes, Kendra, let's go. Well, I got to make sure this is done and make sure this is done and this is done. He's going to change the pattern. William, let's go. Okay, well, Lord, what about this? What about this? What about this? He's going, Lazarus, come out, come forth. Because you've established stuff, you go, God, I want you to free me. I want to be all free. I don't want to be bound, God. But you keep picking up things that bind you up. And then when they mess you up, you're mad because they messed you up. Why? Because you keep picking them up. He said, Lazarus, come forth. Now, he didn't come forth like a person free. He came forth still bound. Y'all not hearing me. Some of you, God is going, come on out, Apostle Van Zandt. Come on out, Sharika. Come on out, Jamaica. Come on out, Jamie. Come on out. Come on out, Annette. Come on out. You go, wait a minute. What about my grandkids? I'm sorry. Am I God? I don't remember your grandkids. Come on out. Well, Lord, I can't walk. Then you keep moving, because on the power of come out, you have the power to move. Because the moment he said, come forth, you had the power to move. The moment he took level 3 and said, come out of it, you got the power to move. That means you do everything in your power to move. If you got to hop on one leg, you come forth. Why? Because the moment he said, come forth, he's already about to set you totally free. Yeah. Yeah. So later on down in that passage, if you notice down, he said, Lazarus come forth. And then the bottom of that passage, he said, loose him and set him free. Actually said, loose him and let him go. He was already free. He was already free. He was already free. I need you to understand something, ladies and gentlemen. I told you I'm not staying on long. I really am going to keep my word. I'm not staying long. I need you to understand something. I need you to understand that God has made you free. And each of those 3 levels that bind you are the 3 levels that seem to hold you steadfast to your situation. And you have to do those things for change. You have to realize that stage 1, you're bound. You're bound because you've already set a path. Stage 2 seems like it's dead. Seems like nothing is going to happen. But stage 3 is where he speaks and the atmosphere changes. Where are you? What stage are you in? There is nothing too hard for God. And I know there's some of you that are probably questioning this, saying, okay, if there's nothing too hard for God, how come I don't have the money that I want? How come I don't have the house I want? How come I have the situation I want? If you are not a part of the mentoring class, you're asking that question. If you're a part of the mentoring class, we answered that question last night. You have the power to make this thing work. You have it. It is yours. It is yours. And not only is it yours, it's been yours the whole time. What time is it? Yeah, give me about 10 more minutes and then I'm going to go. Bless you. You have the power to fix this thing. But here's where the rubber hits the road. Do you really want it fixed? Do you really want to be free? Do you? Do you? Do you really want to be free, or are you okay with where you are because people feel sorry for you and people give you emotionally, or they emotionally want to be there for you, and you feel like you're all alone? But hear me very closely. God has a way of bringing to you everything that you have need of. Where are you? Do you need to change your path? Did you need to start moving around and loosen some of the band-aids of your past? P-A-T-H. Do you need to change your path? Do you need to loose yourself from all the band-aids? Or are you in position where God is about to speak into your life and call you forth, and you're still trying to grab stuff that's in the grave? You're still trying to get stuff in the tomb. You still look like you in the tomb. When I decided that I was going to be free, I decided to stop thinking the way everybody told me to think. I listened to advice. That's all. I've always listened to advice. I was very good at listening to advice. But I stopped trying to listen to advice and make it a pressure on my life. I listened to advice, and that's why I started writing notes and start taking notes. I listened to advice, and if you said something to me, those of you that know when I call you, if you said something to me, I wrote it down. Why did I write it down? Because advice is the seed for understanding. It is not the seed for destination. Advice is the seed for understanding. If I advise you to pray every day, it's the seed for understanding. It is something, it's the potential for understanding. So if you listen to enough advice, you have a lot more understanding and you can create a lot better destinations. So I listened to that. But what I had to start learning to do is listen to the Spirit of God. And I had to build that destination in such a way that it made me understand that I was moving where God wanted me to move. And so when your advice came in, your advice came in such a way that it would either confirm or show me a different option. If it confirmed, I did it. If it confirmed what God said, I automatically did it. If it didn't, I just put it on the shelf. I don't hate you because you say something. But if you try to stop me, that's a horse of a different color. I don't have time for you trying to stop me. If you're trying to stop me, babe, you're in the wrong place. It's not happening. I'm not stopping, but I'm going to listen. And the reason I'm going to listen is because when I listen, I hear God. But if I've already got the foundation, what you say is a confirmation. Get free. Get free. And when I learned that writing became my only friend. If it hits my mind, I wrote it down. If it hits my heart, I wrote it down. Why did I write it down? I wrote it down because the more I wrote down stuff, the more I gathered information from all the different things that God is doing. Y'all know that I sometimes start something and don't finish it. But to God be the glory. All right. That's it. I really have things to do for the conference. For those of you that are on their way, we got 2 days and I get to see you guys, get to hang out with you guys. My wife, y'all pray for her because she's working like a small Hebrew slave. It is not me. My name is not Pharaoh. She's working because she wants to make sure this is right. Thank you for you guys that are coming early. For those of you that are going to do the live stream, today is it. You can't even, after tomorrow, the website will be down. If you have not done the live stream, you need to go ahead and do it. That's it, and that's all. So now let's do this because I see people doing this. So everybody that's on here, I need you to, here's what I want you to type. I am free, period. I'm free, no free. Where's my song? Baby, didn't we do a song about being free? Yeah, where's my song? Where's the DJ when you need the DJ? I'm free. I'm free. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. You guys don't really know how much I care about you guys. I really, really think you guys are wonderful. So I'm going to do about maybe, what time is it? Yeah, I'm going to do maybe 5 minutes. I will be totally done at 11 o'clock. Maybe 5 minutes of question and answer. If you have questions, ask questions. Go right for the questions. Don't kind of, oh my God, no. No question is dumb. No question is stupid. Get your questions answered. All right? Okay, that's I need you guys to understand that. I need you to do it and get right to it. This is it. Now, this is the last one before the retreat. So there will be nothing Friday. I may sneak on once or two. There will be nothing Friday. Retreat is happening. And not only is the retreat happening, things are going to change, all right? I love you guys. I thank God for you. I will see you that are coming to the retreat, and those that are that are live stream. I'll see you guys then. All right. Those of you that are new here, that have not been here, remember, like, subscribe, share this with somebody that needs it. Know that you're free. Live like you're free. All right. I'm Uncle Dallas. You've just been taken to a higher standard. Peace.